Sometimes the best way to really get a feel for a country isn't to read a massive history book. It's actually to just zoom in on a single moment in time. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're taking the pulse of India by breaking down the news from just one day, January 16th, 2026. So let's just dive right into the big question, right? What can a handful of headlines actually tell us about a nation of over 1 billion people? What kind of story emerges when you look at finance, tech, sports, and diplomacy, all from a single 24-hour snapshot? That's what we're here to find out.
And this is what we're working with. It's a simple news digest for the day. Looks like just a list of headlines, but we're going to unpack each one and see what kind of bigger picture they paint when you put them all together. Okay, to make sense of all this, we've kind of grouped the day's events into 4 big themes. First, we'll look at how tech is getting out to every corner of the country. Then, we'll get a little economic reality check. After that, we'll see India's role on the world stage. And we'll wrap up by looking at how the nation is fueling its own future.
So, first up, technology. And what's really fascinating from this particular day's news is this dual focus you see. Innovation isn't just happening in the flashy tech hubs, it's also being designed to reach the most remote parts of the country, too. I mean, just take a look at this. This is such a brilliant example of grassroots innovation. It's called TGB on Wheels, and it's India's very first mobile ATM van that runs completely on solar power. Just think about that. It's literally a bank branch on wheels built for the rural state of Tripura. And the impact here is just huge. This isn't just about making things a little more convenient. No, this is about fundamental access. This van brings banking services to villages where electricity might be spotty or non-existent. It's a massive push for financial inclusion. And the fact that it's solar-powered, that just makes it an awesome, sustainable solution. And it's even backed by India's National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. Now get this. On the very same day, the headlines just completely pivot. We go from rural solar-powered banking to the absolute cutting edge of high-tech. Reliance Jio announced a massive, brand-new, homegrown artificial intelligence platform slated to launch first in the state of Gujarat. And this quote from the announcement, well, it really says it all. The goal is a people-first AI. The whole idea is to make these incredibly powerful AI tools accessible and affordable for every single Indian in their own language on whatever device they have. So you've got tech reaching out in 2 ways at once, physically and digitally. Okay, let's switch gears and move to our second section, the economic reality check. The headlines from January 16th give us 2 very different but equally important pieces of data about what's going on in India's economy. First, just look at this number. 0.83%. This was the headline number for wholesale inflation in December 2025. Now, on its own, a number like that might not mean a whole lot, but the context, well, that's everything. So here's why that number matters. It actually marks a return to positive inflation after 2 months in a row of deflation. That suggests that the economic gears, post-pandemic, are shifting. But it's still way lower than the 2.57% they saw a year earlier, which tells you that price pressures, at least at the wholesale level, were still pretty contained. The second key economic number for the day is this one, 80. So what's 80? Well, that's India's rank in the brand new 2026 Henley Passport Index, which is a big deal because it measures how much travel freedom a country's citizens have. So what does 80th place actually mean for someone on the ground? It means if you have an Indian passport, you can get into 55 other countries without needing to get a visa beforehand. The report calls this a slight improvement, but it's a small step that means a lot for global mobility, whether you're a professional, a student, or a tourist. And that idea of global mobility is a perfect segue into our third theme, India's role on the world stage. The news from this one day shows the country engaging with the world on so many different fronts. We're talking high-level diplomacy, strategic partnerships, and yeah, even global sports. So at this exact moment, New Delhi was in the middle of hosting a major international event, the 28th Conference of Speakers, with representatives from over 60 Commonwealth nations. This literally places India at the center of some really important conversations about democracy and global governance. But global influence isn't just about big summits, right? A really important agreement was signed between the Indian Council of Agricultural Research and the National Dairy Development Board. The whole point here is to blend cutting-edge science with boots-on-the-ground expertise to make India's huge dairy sector even stronger.
And that's critical not just for India, but for the global food supply.
And of course, international relationships aren't just built in boardrooms. What about those powerful, sometimes intense, connections that are forged on the playing field?
Well, a huge story in the cricket world broke on this day. The legendary Australian captain Alyssa Healy announced she was retiring. So why is this an India story? Well, because her final international series, her big farewell tour, is set to be played against India. It's just another reminder of how central India is to the entire global sporting world. And that brings us to our final theme for the day, and it couldn't be more fitting. Because it turns out January 16th isn't just another day on the calendar. It's actually a day that's dedicated to the very engine of India's future growth. It's startups.
That's right. The same day all this other news was happening is also officially National Startup Day in India. And that's not just a coincidence. It's a really powerful statement about the country's priorities, a day to celebrate this incredible culture of innovation and entrepreneurship.
So, the story behind this day goes back to 2016. It was created to mark the anniversary of the Startup India initiative, which was this huge government program. And its mission statement really says it all: to transform the country from a nation of job seekers into a nation of job creators. It's a day to celebrate the people who take risks, the innovators, and the problem solvers. So when you put it all together, the solar-powered ATMs, the AI for everyone, the stabilizing economy, more global mobility, diplomatic leadership, and a day literally celebrating startups, you really see a nation in motion. It just leaves you with this one fascinating final question. As all these powerful forces keep mixing and building on each other, what's going to be the next big chapter in India's story?